Well, good evening, everybody. I am so happy to see you guys again. It's been a minute. It's been like almost 2 weeks, but I'm happy to have Miss Pamela Lucas with us tonight, as well as when you saw the intro, we have an enter to win $250. Well, right now we're in the process of trying to pretty much hire new certified tutors for our upcoming partnership with an elementary school here in Kansas City that was just finalized last week. So if you are interested in to enter to win, the raffle starts March 25th and ends April 7th. There's a limited amount of tickets going to be sold. So as soon as those tickets are sold, we're going to have the raffle, and the raffle winner will be announced on Facebook Live as well as YouTube Live. All right. So first things first, thank you, Miss Lucas, for being my guest, as the topic is the science behind fashion. This is Miss Pamela Lucas, the founder and CEO of the House of Pamela Renee, and where her slogan is, where education meets fashion. Thank you for being here today.
All right. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. Now it's the House of Pamela Renee, where fashion meets education.
Oh, sorry.
That's quite all right. That's quite all right. But everybody gets the meaning, because fashion and education, they're related. There you go.
Yes, sorry about that.
That is quite all right. That was probably my typo,
she's gonna correct me if I'm wrong. I am so sorry about that. Okay, so why did you choose fashion designing as a career?
Well, really and truly, initially, I didn't. Initially, when I was younger, I used to play the piano. I used to play classical music on the piano when we lived in New York. Mm-hmm. And then when the family moved to Kansas City, I took home economics. This was back in 19 blankety blankety blank. So I took home economics in the Kansas City, Missouri School District, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Then I wanted a sewing machine, and the rest is history. I've been sewing ever since. And I fell in love with designing and, making clothes and looking at fashions and trends and all of that. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So you're like me with science and engineering. That just fell in my lap too. I was more of I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And engineering wasn't one of them. I wanted to be a doctor. And then my physics teacher, when I was in high school, he was just like, you know what, you're good in math and science, you should do engineering. And I was just like, I don't even know what an engineer does. I don't know what an engineer does, but because he invested in me and had confidence in me, I went for engineering.
Yeah, absolutely. The counselors, they kind of, in schools, they kind of lead the path. They gear students certain ways where they think they would be good at.
Right.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But needless to say, he was right. There
you go.
What do you love about being a fashion designer who educates?
Well, let's see. What I love about being a fashion designer who educates. Well, I can tell you, when I was teaching at Purcell Academy, Fine and Performing Arts, when the student gets it, like, for example, let's say they want to make a garment, but they've never sewn before, or, they have some ideas and they just have so much passion and eagerness and excitement that when we actually take a sketch that they have, or even just buy a pattern and they actually make the garment themselves and they put it on and they look at it, they're like, oh, Miss Lucas, I did it. I could do this. This is at the high school level. The college level, same thing. When you see that when you're teaching a student, when they actually understand and they get it, it's a wonderful thing. Sometimes they don't get it right off the bat. Sometimes, it takes a day or two. I'll come back around and say, do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, I get it, but they don't. They come back around and I know when they get it. I mean, I think that's what any educator, we just love it when the student understands and they can apply it to their lives.
I totally agree. Well, I'm in an interim with between jobs, and I'm a substitute teacher. Once I see that the light bulb clicks in a student, it's like it's a whole new world. Like, oh my God, I'm learning.
That's it. You know, and you got all different types of learners, so we have to bring it to them so they can understand it.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So, what is the science behind fashion to you?
Ooh, okay. The science behind fashion. Well, okay. All right. Well, a lot of people seem to think, oh, fashion is just so frivolous. They see some things go down the runway and feathers flying and this, that, and the other. And they say, oh, gosh, nobody's wearing that. Turn the channel, whatever. But there's a lot that goes into that. Okay, so let's take math. Easy one. Let's take math, for example. Okay, so on my test, I used to say things like they had to, basically add numbers together. I say, okay, if the hip is 40 and you want your pattern to be 42 and a half, how many more inches you need to add? Things like that. So they have to be able to add, multiply, subtract, divide, and they have to know fractions. They have to be able to have the decimal equivalent. If I say, okay, go ahead, punch in 3.5 into your calculator, some of them look at me like, so I have to teach a little math in my fashion class. So I, okay, so if it's, 3.5 is 3.5 and so on and so forth. So they have to know that. Then let's say now they have a sketch and we're going to make a skirt, maybe just a basic skirt. There's some angles, like for example, I have my L square. They have to be able to use the L square when we're making patterns. And we have a ruler. You have to be able to know, okay, I always give them a trick question. Okay, which one's bigger, 5/8 or 3/4? Things like that. So, which one's bigger, 1/8 or 1/16? Things like that. So then that way, they have to understand math. All right, and there's something else. Okay. When a designer's designing clothes, you have some core things, some staples, some regulars that sell all the time. Right. So, when you're figuring out, okay, how many should I produce? It's not pie in the sky. Oh, I feel like producing 10 today. Oh, I feel like producing 8 tomorrow. You have to have some stats. You have to know what the probability of it selling, or is it just going to go on a discount rack? So, you have to have some stats. You have to look back at the data to see what's sold. Or if you're designing stuff, when we design, then there's a trend going out. How do we know that that's going to sell? It has to be something that we do with the stats, with the probabilities and all that type of stuff to figure out, okay, I'm going to go ahead and take a chance and make this design because I believe it's going to sell because the history of the stats say so, not because I think I'm all bad and this is going to sell because the color is, the color could be good or whatever. You have to have some basis in fact. That's just math. Let's take some science. Let's take fibers, for example. So, you got natural fibers and you have synthetic fibers. So when you're designing stuff, you have to know your fabrics. And when you know your fabrics, you have to know the fiber that the fabric is made out of. So let's say when I take the students to the fabric store and we go and they see this wonderful fabric that falls nicely and drapes nicely, and it's made out of rayon fabric. And they say, okay, Ms. Lucas, this is it. I like this. And I'm saying, okay, so how are you going to clean that? Are you going to wash it? Or are you going to put it in dry cleaners? Well, I don't know. I think I'm going to wash it. You wash rayon, it's going to shrink. But you got to know that because you have to study your fibers. You have to know that if you have a synthetic fiber, it's really liquid in the bottle, goes through a spinneret, you get a model filament, and then you weave those together to the fabric you want. So a lot of people don't know that. They see the feathers going down the runway and they say, oh, and the parents say, or the friends say, oh, it's just a frivolous career. Don't do it. But look, it's big business and you have to know a lot of things. So that's just the surface of stuff that you have to know. When I used to work at Lee Jeans, we used to get the fabric raw denim, meaning it was unwashed. And when we made the pattern on the computer, The pattern was, let's say if it's going to be a size 8, the pattern was made a little bit bigger because after they washed the fabric, it shrunk. So we had to calculate, or we had to put in whatever numbers that the fabric people gave us to accommodate for the shrinkage of this fabric. And it would be different for different fabrics. So fashion is just not like, oh, I'm gonna get on the sewing machine and buy this furry fabric and sew and walk down the runway and half your leg is out, half your arm is out, and blah. It's not so much that. It's some practicality in it that you have to think about. So when they took some of the sewing, okay, I'm not even gonna get onto that. When they took some of the sewing out of some of the schools, blah 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 blah, because of STEM, technology, engineering, and math. They think that sewing is not part of that, and so sometimes we have to educate our educators to let them know that sewing is exactly that. It just looks so easy that people think it's not that. It's because it looks so easy, but it's really not. If you really think about it, it's really not. But we can talk all day. I don't want to take up so much time.
All day. And you know what? A lot of educators and a lot of people think that science and technology and engineering and mathematics is, just limited to those
right.
tech and medical fields. But when you really think about it, like you said, there's a lot of math to a lot of different things that we are using every day.
That's correct.
We do think about the practicalities of, like you said, the material that we use, the measurements that we use, and the properties of each material that is in each fabric. So, I forget about it, I see the same thing. Like, oh my goodness, that garment is so gorgeous. But I never think about the math aspect, or what was the process of creating a shirt or a skirt or a dress. I just say, oh, it's a gorgeous gown, and I would like to wear it one day, and that's it.
That's it. Yeah, there's engineers in the fashion arena as well. When I used to have to go to factories, and you have to figure out how you're going to sew it. How much time is it going to take to sew it? This is production. How much time is it going to take to sew it? What mechanisms are we going to use? So we had to have an engineer come in and say, okay, they time people, or if you're going to lay the fabric out, what different things need to be done. And then you, of course, look at the equipment. Look at all the equipment that you need. There's a buttonhole, there's a straight stitch, there's a zigzag stitch, there's a serge, there's a 301 lock stitch, there's flying stitch, there's all types of machines, all types of stuff. And so with all that in mind, we had to have an engineer to come to help to figure out if there's a problem at the factory. So these are parts that people don't even think about. They go to the store, they go through the rack. Oh, I like this, try this on. Oh, that's ugly, put that away. Oh, I don't like this fabric. Oh, where's the size? Oh, it don't fit. Oh, this is wonderful. Oh, I'm wearing this out. Oh, I'm gonna have fun. But they don't think about the history of how it comes from concept in your mind to consumer. There's a lot of processes in between there. But there we go.
Yeah,
I even forgot what the question was, but go ahead.
But you did a good job answering the question.
All right, great.
So how would you define your fashion line?
Oh, I like fancy stuff. I mean, I like my line is like for special occasion wear, weddings, pageants, special events that a person wants to go to. Something when you put this on, you want to feel a certain kind of way. And you're like, oh, yes, I look good in this. I'm going with this. So I do special occasion for men and women. So that's I like the satin fabrics and the lace and the metallics. I like stuff that you look really good and it's memorable. So if you look at my line at the House of Pamela Renee, you kind of see some of the stuff that I make. And, like organza shirts and so on and so forth. That's just me. And so, as a designer, you have to know your target. You have to know who your target market is, who's going to purchase your stuff. So you have to know those type of things. But that's how I define my clothing line as special occasion wear.
Okay. And I love your special occasion wear. I
Well,
love it.
thank you,
Yes.
thank you.
I was like, wow. If anyone don't know, Miss Lucas' daughter and I are best friends. And so we knew each other for many, many years.
Yes.
And I knew that you was a fashion designer as well as a fashion teacher, but I never saw, your line. And I see it periodically through your Facebook page and your websites and stuff. And I was like, man, she is really good. I didn't know how good you were until I went to your fashion pages and your Facebook page. And I'm like,
thank
man,
you.
this is really, really good. So please check her Facebook page out and her website out, because you will be very, very impressed and very pleased. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks.
What is one of your favorite techniques using in creating your line?
Okay, so there's a couple of ways. Like, for example, you have your sketch. So, I have in mind what fabrics I want, the designs I want to create, and so on and so forth. And so now I have my sketch. And so getting from your mind the sketch to a garment that you can actually put on. So that's the technique. So what technique do you want to use? I like personally is flat pattern drafting. So which means I'm gonna have a sloper. Like, for example, if I'm gonna design a skirt, this is a skirt sloper. I can lay this on the table and design any skirt from this sloper, from this basics. It's like a foundation. So that's the technique that I prefer. Some people like to like here's the mannequin. Okay, let me pull this up. So here's a dress form. And some people like to put their garments on here, put their fabric on here and drape it on the dress form and pin it and all that. Some people like that method. Some people like to have something that looks like it and they can kind of rub it off. But my favorite technique is a flat pattern technique. I can do both, thank you, Lord. I'm gifted with both and I learned both. But I prefer the flat pattern because I like the angles and the math. But some people who don't want to deal with the math so much, they like to drape because they're visual learners.
Okay.
They can't, or they prefer not to say, okay, the weight should be this much. Let me calculate, and let me calculate, put this in my calculator, calculate it out. I want it to come out so much. How many inches should that be? Maybe 4. Let me see what that. Maybe they don't want to do it that way. Maybe they just want to drape it on the dress form and look at it visually and go from there.
Okay. Exactly. All right. I did. Well, I used to see, the draping technique, but I'm used to the pattern technique because back in, I think it was elementary, middle school, high school. I took one little sewing class, and that was the pattern technique. And it's a lot of math, and a lot of concentration, making sure everything's right. But I haven't done the draping technique.
Yes.
And I didn't know that the draping technique was for visual learners.
Yeah. And I learned that with teaching. See, some people can. Everybody has a certain gift. We all know that. And so to be able to teach somebody something where they understand it, right there is a gift in this, whatever it is, whether it's sewing or tutor or whatever it is, because I struggled, when I was younger. I'm like, I don't really understand what they're saying. They got to break it they got to break them elements all the way down, all the way to the ABC, to the 1, 2, 3. So when I teach it, and since everybody's kind of like at different levels, I break it all the way down to the 1, 2, 3, to the ABC, and I show them different methods. And then in doing that, you'll have one student who'll get it right off the bat. No problem. She got it. And she ready to move on. Then you have another student like, no. Mister, can you do that again, please? I don't get it. So then you have to show them a different method. So they can come, all these different roles can come till they can make their garment.
Right.
So
Right.
you have the visual learner, that one, they like to see stuff, feel stuff, and so on and so forth. You got all different types of different learners, and there you go. You just have to be able, as a teacher, as an instructor, we just have to be able to make sure they understand the content. So that's when the tests come in. A lot of times I'll ask them about a measurement, and they say, yes, we got it, I understand, blah, 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 blah. Okay, then I ask them a question, and they don't know the answer. And then I'll just say, okay, so you really don't understand, but that's okay. I'm here to help you to understand. That's
And
it.
that's a good educator. That is a good educator right there.
We try.
That is a great educator. Okay, so how would you define your line? Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Tell us a little bit about your academy.
Oh, yes, I'm gonna start crying. No. So, that's where the fashion comes in with education. All right, so it's the Academy of Pattern Making and Draping. Because, a lot of people struggle from once they have that design, how do they make the pattern? So some of them, they'll go to, the fabric store and they'll buy a pattern, they'll bring it back and they'll change it around and da 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 da. And that works okay for home sewing. But now if you designing and you want to get in the fashion industry business, then there's another method. And so that's a flat pattern method, like I was explaining before. So in my academy, what it is, it's a video subscription. So if you go to my link, you'll see me. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for subscribing. And then I show them how to do I have all types of videos to show them how to make all types of different patterns. So I start off with the slopers, and it's broken down. Like, for example, if I'm showing them a skirt sloper, then I'll have one section maybe last 2 minutes and another section 4 minutes. I break it all the way down so they would completely understand it, and they can take it in parts, take it, bite at a time. They don't have to try to gobble up the whole thing and don't understand it and say, oh, never mind, I don't want the subscription. So I always like to break it down so they can understand it. And then, so if a person was to subscribe to that academy, that's what we do, pattern making and draping. That's how we started. But now I'm finding out that people have other questions. Like, for example, if a person is just now learning how to sew. So now inside my Kajabi platform, I'll have skirt pattern. Then I'll have how to thread your sewing machine. I'm breaking it up in modules. Then that way, I'm thinking about it now because it's growing. Thank you, Lord. I'm thinking about it now like a classroom with all different types of learners. Some people are ready for the big leagues. If I'll take you wherever you want to go. And some people are just starting out. And I don't, you don't want to give them too much because then they can't do it and they get discouraged. So I start them off small. So there's modules in there for everybody. And the thing that I like is it's 24-hour access. So you can go at any time. So everybody's on a different schedule these days. Mm-hmm. So whatever your schedule is, you can go in there at any time, password protected portal. You can go anytime and everything is broken down. And the other thing is I'm available every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on a private Zoom link. So for those who subscribe, because some people say, oh, I can go to YouTube and get the same thing. You're more than welcome to do that. But when you see something in the video, and even in my videos, even though I explain it really good, if you see something you don't understand it, then you can say, okay, that's a question I have for Miss Lucas on Wednesday. I need her to show me how to blah 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 because I'm stuck. So I help you get unstuck. I'm there to make sure they understand. So every Wednesday at 7 p.m., we're on for an hour. And if a student have a question, I can answer it. I can demonstrate. And the other good thing about it is, let's say you have a student and they have a design and they don't know how to make the pattern and they want to, they can suggest what they want to learn. For example, I had a student last Wednesday who was having an issue with costing out what she was going to make for somebody. So if she wanted to make somebody something, how much should she charge them? So we went over that as well. So those are the good things about the portal. And it's $37 a month.
That's reasonable.
That's very reasonable for all that you're going to get. And I got so many videos. I got the basic skirt sloper. And then I have different designs that you can make from the basic skirt sloper. And there's more and more in there. I got some basic, I have some intermediate, and I'm putting some advanced ones in there now too. If you want to draft a pattern for a jacket, if somebody in the group was to give me a sketch and say, okay, can you show me how to make this pattern? I'll put it in a portal. So it's not bad. So I'm thinking about going forward with schools, because it's like a curriculum I have in there almost.
Mm-hmm. So
I hope some of your listening audience would think about that and, go to the portal at, bit.ly/Academy of Pattern Making, or just go to my website, Facebook page, and I have it up there too. And just go and look at it. I have some free videos in there just so a person can see. Well, yeah, she said she could teach, but I don't know if she could teach. Man, let me see. I need to see before I buy. Show me. So I'm showing them. Okay. So I got 2 videos in there for free. They can look at and see my teaching methods, see if they even like to even hear me explain stuff or how they want to, So, yeah, that's me. That's what I've been doing.
That's a good, Miss Lucas. Now, come on now. That's a good deal. That's a steal of the year.
Yeah, exactly. It really is.
2 free videos. Then every Wednesday night for an hour on Wednesdays.
That's
and then
right.
You have modules to walk you through each step. That's exactly. the steal of the year.
Exactly. Especially the part about on Wednesday on the Zoom calls, because you can have any question. You can even post a question when you go through the modules and you have a question, you can even post it there and I can go back and look to see if there's a question. Or if you want me to show, you might say, I really don't understand why you drew this line. How come you drew that line there? How come it's this? Why is that? Then I can explain that. Because when you explain the why of why you drew a line or did a certain technique, that's good, because then they can apply that to the other patterns. And it just grows and grows and grows.
Well, thank you so much, Miss Lucas. Please tell us again the website link for your academy.
Okay, so it's bit.ly /Academy of Pattern Making.
Okay.
Academy of Pattern Making. bit.ly /Academy of Pattern Making.
Okay.
You can always go to my Facebook page, House of Pamela Renee, and I have it up there as well.
And how long is the $37 a month? Is that forever? How long is that? That's forever.
37. Right. So next year it's going to go up. So it's good to get it now. Or if a person is really serious about learning the techniques and skills that they need, then you can pay for the whole year and you get 2 months free.
Okay.
Because and a person, they probably you really need to think about that if you have any really serious fashion designers or people who know somebody who you think about that, because everybody has ideas all the time. They drawing up stuff and sketching up stuff, and then when it comes time to make it, they don't understand. And then they say, okay, I'm going to go someplace else and buy some blanks. Sure, you can go buy some blanks, but that's not your design. You're going to embellish it. So let's say you go buy some sweatpants. Okay, you put some art on it. Okay, there you go. That's fine. But let's say you want to do something more than that. Let's say you want these sweatpants to have a pocket here. You got this other type of fabric that you want to use. You got this different stitching that you want to use. Then you're going to need to know about how to make that pattern. Something. Yeah, you got to know something. Something. Even if you just have questions. I had a class called apparel production for fashion designers, where we went through all of that from concept to consumer, from the head to the hanger. We went through it all. And that helped them to understand where they were strong at and where they were weak at and what they needed to know, what they didn't know. Because the problem is people don't know what they don't know.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, so, I may say to somebody, okay, I got this pattern maker. Well, I've been making patterns. I know how to do that. Well, let me see. Oh, so you're going to go buy a pattern, you're going to draw a line and cut it. So if that's their process, that's fine. That works for them. But it's a better way. It's a more advanced way. You can't take that McCall's pattern to a factory or to a design house and say, okay, I want something designed. You can't do that. Because they look at you like, okay, she's an amateur, she don't know.
Right.
So,
right.
If, at least know the process.
That's true.
But that's the thing. And that's the whole thing about, some people say, oh, I'm self-taught. And self-taught is good because you got a gift. But then you always want to go take a class here and get a mentor there, that type of thing, because you don't know what you don't know. When I went to New York, after I graduated from Penn Valley Community College way back, okay. After I graduated, and then I went to New York to go to Fashion Institute of Technology. Yes, I'm like, I'm going up here, but I already know. I know what I'm doing, but I'll go on and go up here, go back to New York, see my friends and family, get on the subway, Okay, then I get in the class and I'll be like, I didn't know that. Oh, oops, I didn't know that. Well, I didn't know. So then that's when I found out that I thought I knew everything, but I didn't. So that's just a normal thing. People don't know what you don't know. So I'm here to help people find out what they don't know as far as the fashion business, as far as my specialty is going from the head to the garment. So to learn how to drape it, to learn how to flat pattern it, whichever way you need to. And if you're not going to sew it up, then how do you get it to somebody else who can sew it up? You got to know something. It's just like, a rich person not taking care of their books. Next thing you know, next year they broke.
Right.
So same with us, fashion designers, fashion enthusiasts, fashion stylists, fashion students, instructors, anybody who wants to design a line of clothes. You have to know a little something. So I suggest you just go ahead and go hit that bit.ly Academy of Pattern Making at me. All right. And I'm always here to help.
Well, thank you so much, Miss Pamela Lucas.
And
I'm happy that you were my guest this evening. You are a wealth of information. I will highly suggest taking her academy. So, thank you for being our audience. For those who attended, I am so happy to have you guys. Let me see if anyone made a comment. All right. I don't see any questions yet. So if we have any questions, they'll be in our box in our Facebook pages. You can ask those questions and we'll see them. But in the meantime, we are having a raffle starting again, March 25th. To enter in to win $250 to help us hire certified tutors for the underserved youth at an elementary school here in Kansas City, because Left Brains has partnered with them, with the whole school. So I am so happy about that, and so happy to announce it to our audience. So please stay connected, stay tuned. Look out for our websites and Facebook pages, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.